Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack. I'm the founder here at Scenarios. We're a marketing agency that helps e-commerce brands set up effective campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. And in this week's video, we're going to talk about the optimal campaign structure that you have, or at least the one that we like to use in our Facebook and Instagram campaigns. You might have been led to believe that in order to create powerful Facebook and Instagram campaigns that you need to have somewhat of a complicated campaign structure in terms of testing out every single variable that you have control over, testing out a bunch of different ad sets, and just having hundreds and hundreds of campaigns running at the same time. But the truth is, when you do that, you are usually working against yourself and working counterproductively. One, by having a lot of different ad sets, you're usually competing against yourself in the advertising market, which is counterproductive. And having a complicated campaign structure is also very, very difficult to manage, and you are much less likely to get enough data on the different ad sets that you're running to make a statistically significant decision whether or not the variables that you're testing are working or not. Instead, in this video, I'm going to talk about the campaign structure, as I said, that we use, the very, very basic structure, how to set stuff within the ads manager. I'm going to also talk about how that reflects into the type of advertising you're running within each part of this campaign structure. The basic overview of the structure, as you can imagine, reflects the entire sales cycle, or let's say the sales funnel that people go through when they are introduced to a brand, learn about it, and then go ahead and make a purchasing decision. So as you very well know, the two main terms people refer to when you're targeting audiences on Facebook and Instagram is either cold campaigns or warm campaigns. Warm campaigns simply refers to targeting people who have interacted with your brand one way or another, whereas cold campaigns refer to audiences who have never heard of your brand before. And so you want to be able to target these cold audiences, get people from people who've never heard of your brand before, get them to a point where they're aware and perhaps engaged with the brand. And then you want to retarget those same audiences with a slightly different marketing message to get those people from people who are aware of the brand to paying customers. So the basic campaign structure that we're going to look at looks something like this. It consists of 4 general campaigns that you're going to create. The first one being your entire retargeting pool. Again, that consists of everyone who has ever interacted with your brand one way or another, or at least everyone that you're able to target within Facebook. That includes everyone who has engaged with your Instagram or Facebook page, your email or your customer list, as well as your website visitors for the longest period possible, which Facebook gives you is 180 days. The next campaign that you want to create is a retargeting campaign that's going to retarget an ongoing audience that's going to change over time. And that's going to represent the variable retargeting pool, which is going to represent people who have perhaps added an item to cart in the last 14 days, page views in the last 28 days, content views. And in this section of the campaign, you want to segment those different audiences to see which ones are working well on retargeting. And again, because the audiences are smaller in terms of add to cart in the last 14 days, they're going to be constantly changing when you're running cold campaigns. The next section of the campaign is going to be your cold testing campaign, and this is going to be the campaign where you're prospecting and reaching out to new audiences. That's going to represent interest and lookalike based targeting. In the testing campaign, we're going to use slightly lower budgets to test out different interests, different lookalike audiences, and then when we find out which ones are the winners, we are going to duplicate them into our cold full campaign, where we will launch them with the full budget. So when it comes to the retargeting, the entire retargeting pool, what you want to do is go to your Facebook's audience manager, and you want to create custom audiences based on the following. So the first is going to be the website visitors in the last 180 days. The next is going to be your customer list, both your email and your purchasers list, and then your Instagram page followers, as well as your Facebook page followers. And as you can see here from the left, this is what it's gonna look like once you create that audience and add them all together into one ad set in the retargeting all campaigns. Now you might be asking, why do we have 2 retargeting pools? One being the entire retargeting audience, and one consisting of a smaller segmented pool of retargeting audiences. And the reason is, you want to have the entire retargeting pool always ready in the case that you want to run any sort of promotional offers like sales. You want to be able to reach out to your entire audience and the entire group of people who have interacted with your brand to hit them with an offer, for example, on Black Friday, or if you have a new product launch. As you can see from these two examples, this is what different brands have done, and they've most likely launched those ads to their entire retargeting pool to inform everyone who has ever interacted with the brand about the sale or about the new product launch. The next section of your campaign is going to be your retargeting ongoing pool. Now, in this pool, you want to target people in different segments, as I mentioned, and that could represent page viewers in the last 28 days, page viewers in the last 14 days. You want to see how large the audience is for each one and which one is more appropriate. And then you want to also create a ad set to retarget people who have viewed a large percentage of your videos. So people are going to watch your videos. Some people are not going to watch a lot of them, but some people are going to watch them perhaps over 50% or 50% through. And so you're able to target those same people who have watched a large portion of your video, and that could be a really, really powerful retargeting pool for you as well. Next, when it comes to your cold audiences, before we jump into that, in terms of the type of advertising that works for your ongoing retargeting campaigns, it's going to depend on what sort of marketing messages you hit them with their cold campaigns, because usually those are people you're retargeting who've perhaps seen some of your cold campaigns, visited your website, or watched a large percentage of one of your videos, and then you're retargeting through the ongoing retargeting campaign. So for example, if you used a lot of content, user-generated content in your cold campaigns, you want to focus a little bit more on the product in those ongoing retargeting campaigns. As you can see here with this example right here, they're focusing a lot on the product. It's just an image of the product, and they've kind of promoted it with Afterpay to say that you can chop up your payments and make it easier for you as well. And they have very, very simple copy on the top. You can also, if you didn't have a lot of user-generated content or social proof in your cold campaigns, you can incorporate some more of it in your ongoing retargeting campaigns, as you can see with this ad right here, where on the left they showcase the product and on the right they have a user testimonial or someone using the product, which is powerful. Next, we're going to jump into the cold testing campaign. This is kind of the bread and butter of your entire ad account, because this is where you are going to test aggressively different audiences to see which audiences are interested in your brand. And from the data that you gather from this campaign, you're going to be able to identify which of those audiences are the winners, and then you're going to put them into your full-fledged cold campaigns at a full budget. So this example that you see right here is from one of our ad accounts. You can see that this is probably, you can already guess that this is a beauty brand just from the interest targeting that we're doing here. But you can see that we're testing different interest targetings. For example, Credo Beauty, Honest Company, as well as Sephora. This is a combined interest-based targeting. Different interests, as you can see here, as well as some of the lookalike audiences as well. So lookalike email lists. We were testing all of these audiences simultaneously, and then from this cold testing pool, we found out what the winners are, and then we moved them on to the cold full campaign. So for example, if these 4 audiences were the best performing out of the bunch that we tested, we'll move them into our full cold campaign at a full budget. If you want to learn a little bit more about how you choose which audiences based on interests to target, we actually created a video going into a little bit more detail on how to use the Audience Insights tool to find some of these audiences that I'll link up in the cards that you can go check out. And it goes over this in a little bit more detail. But when it comes to your cold campaigns, this is where you really want to put your best foot forward in terms of the content that you're creating. You want a lot of social proof. You want to create content that's going to grab attention and hook people in. You can see here from some of those examples, they are trying to hook people in with those headers. What naturally radiant skin sounds like. Is it normal to have acne? So it's almost controversial in a way, the way they've set it up, because they're trying to drive up engagements, they're trying to draw people in, and they're able to introduce the brand in an authentic way doing so. You also want to leverage some social proof in your cold testing. You want to give a strong reason for the consumer to stop what they're doing on Facebook and Instagram and go ahead and pay attention to your brand. One thing you always need to keep in mind when you're advertising on Facebook and Instagram is that people are on there with the primary intention of either being entertained or catching up with a few friends. So you want to create advertising that's going to be strong enough to interrupt them from doing that, or you want to make it seem like the type of content that they are ready to engage with organically, which typically revolves around the user-generated type of content. To summarize what we talked about today, we went over the basic campaign structure that you need to set up a comprehensive advertising strategy on Facebook and Instagram for your e-commerce brands. We looked at the 4 main campaigns that you need to be running. The first being the retargeting pool that consists of your entire retargeting audience. We typically use this audience when you have a new offer, Black Friday sale, or a new product launch. Then we looked at the ongoing retargeting pools. Those are the retargeting pools that are going to be constantly evolving with new people learning about the brand. That's going to consist of people who have added an item to cart, for example, in the last 14 days, people who have viewed any of your content, or viewed any of your videos for more than 3 seconds, for example. And then we talked a little bit about prospecting and cold campaigns, which are campaigns where you are trying to find new people to buy your products. There are 2 sections in cold campaigns. One is going to be the testing. That's where you're going to use slightly lower budgets to be able to test multiple different audiences at the same time with different interests, different lookalike audiences, to see which ones are performing the best. And from your cold testing campaign, you're able to duplicate some of those winners and put them in your full cold campaign, where you're going to use your entire budget on those ad sets that are winning. So hopefully I gave you a general idea of what the campaign structure looks like, as well as different example advertisements for each section or each campaign that you'll be running. Again, if you want to learn a little bit more about how you target those different audiences, we did create a video specifically about cold versus warm targeting, and how do you go about finding different interests and lookalike audiences to target, that you can check out in the cards. If you did enjoy the video and find value in it, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. We will be creating content along these lines as the new year approaches. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.